Pam Bondi walked into the courtroom with an air of resolve that had taken years to perfect. As a seasoned attorney, her reputation was both her strength and burden. Today, she faced a tough challenge, a high-profile case involving a young man wrongfully accused of a crime he didn't commit. But it wasn't just the case that made her pulse quicken, it was the judge presiding over the hearing. Judge Nathaniel Foster was known for his sharp wit and brutal honesty. To some, he was a hero for keeping the courtroom in order, to others, he was a tyrant who had no patience for what he deemed weakness. Pam had crossed paths with him before, and each time, his cutting words had stung deep, leaving marks of doubt in her heart. But today, something was different. She could feel the tension in the air, the quiet hum of expectation. This case could make or break her career, and she knew that Judge Foster's opinion would be the deciding factor. As she approached the defendant's table, she steeled herself for whatever was to come. She had dealt with worse, judges who belittled her, opposing counsel who tried to tear her down. Yet today, there was a sense that this case was about more than just the law. It was about human dignity. When the judge entered, the room fell silent. His cold eyes scanned the room, pausing on Pam for a fraction of a second longer than necessary. "Ah, Miss Bondi," he said, his voice carrying across the courtroom with an almost mocking tone. "I trust we can expect another of your usual performances today." The remark hit her like a slap. She had heard the insinuation before, Judge Foster believed she relied too heavily on theatrics. But today, she had a real case to argue. She wasn't just performing for the crowd. "I trust we'll be able to proceed, Your Honor," she replied, her voice steady. She met his gaze with a calm that belied the storm churning inside her. But the judge wasn't done. "Let's hope your client doesn't end up in the same position as your last one. It wouldn't be the first time you've misjudged someone," he sneered. The word stung. Pam had always prided herself on her integrity and her commitment to justice, no matter the odds. But here, in front of the judge and a room full of people, those words felt like a personal attack. Her confidence wavered for a brief moment, but she quickly pushed it aside. This wasn't the time for weakness. As she stood to make her opening arguments, she took a deep breath. She couldn't allow the judge's insults to derail her. Today, it wasn't just about winning a case, it was about proving something bigger. She had to show the world that kindness, compassion, and integrity were worth more than cold words and harsh judgments. Part 2, The Turning Point. As the day wore on, Pam navigated the case with precision, presenting evidence and calling witnesses to the stand. She could feel Judge Foster's scrutiny with every word she spoke. But despite his constant jabs, she kept her focus. She wasn't just fighting for her client, she was fighting for herself, for every person who had ever been overlooked or underestimated. Then, just before the lunch recess, the judge made another cruel remark. "Miss Bondi," he said, interrupting her closing statement, "I suggest you stop trying to manipulate the jury with your tears for the innocent. We all know this is just another attempt at gaining sympathy." Pam's heart raced. She felt her face flush with anger. She had worked tirelessly for this moment, for the truth to come to light, and now this man was questioning her integrity. But something inside her shifted. She knew she couldn't let this moment pass. Pam stood tall, her voice unwavering as she faced the judge. "With all due respect, Your Honor, I do not manipulate the jury. I fight for what's right. I'm not here for your approval. I'm here for justice." The courtroom fell silent, every eye on her. For the first time that day, Judge Foster's expression faltered. The words that had flowed so easily from his mouth before were now hesitant, unsure. But before he could respond, a sound interrupted the tension. A sudden knock at the door. One of the bailiffs stepped into the courtroom, his face pale. "Your Honor," he said, glancing nervously at Pam, "there's a situation in the back. You're going to need to come with us." The judge stood, his face darkening, clearly irritated. "What now?" he muttered. But as he began to leave, Pam realized what had just happened. The bailiff wasn't here for a simple interruption. He had come to inform the judge of something far more significant, something that would change the course of the day. Part 3, The Moment of Truth. As the judge stepped outside, Pam turned to her client and whispered, "Stay calm. We're almost there." She knew the case was turning in their favor, but it wasn't just the evidence that had shifted things, it was her own transformation. In that moment, she realized something profound: kindness and selflessness didn't need to be loud or grand. Sometimes, the most powerful change came in quiet moments of integrity, of standing tall in the face of adversity. Judge Foster returned after a few minutes, his face ashen. He stood before the court and, without looking at Pam, mumbled, "It appears I have been compromised. I will have to recuse myself from this case." The room buzzed with whispers, but Pam stayed calm. The bailiff had caught the judge in an illicit meeting with one of the defense attorneys, a meeting that could have influenced the outcome of the trial. The judge's arrest was imminent, and the courtroom erupted into a quiet shock. Pam didn't feel triumphant. Instead, she felt a quiet peace. In the end, it wasn't about winning or losing the case, it was about standing up for what was right, regardless of the insults thrown her way. Her moment of compassion, her willingness to push through adversity, had been the catalyst for something greater than herself. Epilogue. A new beginning. In the weeks that followed, Pam's reputation as an attorney only grew. But it wasn't the courtroom victories that people remembered most, it was the way she had handled the situation with grace. Her act of standing firm in the face of injustice and remaining compassionate toward her adversary had inspired others to do the same. Pam's victory wasn't just about a legal win, it was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon we have is kindness. And no matter how many times we are insulted or overlooked, the truth has a way of coming to light when we stand firm in our integrity. And in that courtroom, amidst the chaos and noise, Pam Bondi had proven that kindness, strength, and selflessness could change the world. Message. Sometimes, the most unexpected moments bring out the best in us. In the face of adversity, when we remain true to ourselves, the world has a way of making things right. Just like Pam, we all have the power to rise above insults and adversity with grace, and in doing so, we can create a ripple effect that transforms not just our own lives, but the lives of those around us.